We assemble in conscious awareness of our Creator here, now, and give praise and gratitude that we are here to encourage change and correction in systems that have gone afoul. We experience authorities over us to whom we choose not to comply, for they are not ones worthy of making some of these decisions nor furthering them. And so, with our appreciation of grace and accruing wisdom, we call in prayers for protection and guidance, for we know we are acting against inconceivably horrific evil and tremendous ignorance. We see others who comply with these authorities over them, over us, and see their compliance as acquiescence to a system that has strayed far from Creator's intended goodness and beauty. Ours is to learn, to educate others, to draw a line and hold it firm and steady against the increasing oppression we experience. Ours is to return to our inheritance of beauty, compassion, cooperation, generosity, and most of all, to love. Let it be so, and so it is.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I was speaking to a man today, and he doesn't understand what we're doing or why we're doing it, and he's unaware of the real situation. Well, I'll bring you up to date on the situation. We have Article 7 amended in the Oregon Constitution. It's been there for 114 years, and it's there illegally and illegitimately. Now, me personally, I wrote a petition for redress of grievance as a private attorney general in a group called Across America. And I addressed it to the Speaker of the House, Tina Kotek, and the President of the Senate, Peter Courtney. And Peter's retired and Tina's the governor. But their legislative counsel, Dexter Johnson, is still there. And in that petition, I notified them of what I knew about Article 7 amended. And they chose not to do anything about it. And I kept worrying them about it. I'd call them up and be disruptive and talk to them and where is this information? And there isn't any. And at that time, there was a guy named Jim, I believe the last name was Anderson. He was an investigator for the Department of Justice under Ellen. And he was assigned to me because I was being disruptive and calling up and asking questions they didn't want to answer. And he was a nice man. I liked him. He was getting a PhD in law, and he wasn't a lawyer. He didn't even go to law school. He was going at it a different direction. But in any case, the legislature, notice to the agent is notice to the principal, knew from me specifically as a private attorney general that Article 7 amended was bogus. I also notified the Department of Justice downtown Portland, and his name was Seth Urim, and he was assigned to us also. Ray Sinkle and Kambiz Murati and I met with them several times, and they told me that, yeah, Article 7 amended, that's a state problem. We're not going to do anything about it. Regardless of the information I had for them, they have prosecutorial discretion. They choose not to prosecute. So nothing happens. And Ellen won't prosecute herself or the system that she came up in. They'll continue to enforce through their county, no, state court of the county of, I think that's how it is. But it identifies that county court as being a state court, and under the amended Article 7, there is no original court. The original court is original jurisdiction. So then when you read Article 7 amended and you understand it's bogus, then you look at original and you understand that is original jurisdiction. That is where you and I can go to find remedy against the state. So then if you go to Article 3 of the United States of America's Constitution, circa 1859, you go to Article 3, and that's where a man can find remedy against the state in law and equity. And when you sort through all of the information in Article 3, it says you got to get the court as close to where it actually happened as you can. And we chose Oregon as close enough. So then you have to find an Article 3 court that will claim original jurisdiction. I have a letter from the United States Supreme Court of Washington, District of Columbia, Inc., snail mail letter sent by, I forget his exact title, but he had the authority to write correspondence for the clerk of that court. And they notified me that they are not an Article 3 court. Therefore, that court cannot make a decision over a man or a woman on the land and soil jurisdiction. Sovereign. Bouvier Dictionary, 1856. That bunch. We are original jurisdiction. We're men and women. We are not persons. When we bring you a writ of habeas corpus ad subjiciendum, it's not coming from the Salem oligarchy's illegitimate court of amended Article 7. It's coming from the people, the civilian court of record, the civilian common law court of record. When we made our court and implemented Ex parte Milligan, we complied with everything necessary in the de facto government coming out of Washington, District of Columbia since 1863 or 65 when they made the decision that if there is a civilian court on the land, then there cannot be martial law or military law. And every court on Oregon was an illegitimate, illegal martial law court operating out of the federal state of the United States of Washington, District of Columbia, Inc., a bogus entity. And the state of Oregon, aka all cap state of Oregon, is a subdivision of that entity. And they're all in it together. But we're only doing Oregon. And we know Oregon has been bogus in color of law since November 8th, 1910. We are no longer deceived. And all the judiciary on Oregon is aware of that, as are their attorneys and the Department of Justice, that we are no longer deceived. And the Department of Corrections, which is operated by an inferior court with no jurisdiction and no bona fides, has held David Coolidge in prison after they received a writ of habeas corpus ad subjiciendum. Completely legitimate. We did all the work. We read the papers. This is how you do this, and this is how you do that. And we've done it. We are the one Supreme Court on Oregon claiming original jurisdiction on the land and soil jurisdiction of Oregon, the state. We are that court. That court has original jurisdiction, small o, small s, capital C, one Supreme Court. We made it just like it said. Took us 6 years. All done. Now, Stephen Leipold is the attorney assigned to represent the Department of Corrections. And he has blocked my email and refuses to take my phone call. Now, I asked those 3 men that stood there and refused the writ of habeas corpus. Actually, only one stood. Ken stood. Ken will stand and deliver, and Ken will stand and receive. And he received the entire word from Cynthia, and he took it like a man. And he has to have the individual honor to realize that the state of Oregon is operating a bogus Salem oligarchy. It's not legitimate. They're de facto. They're there. They're in power. They're illegitimate. And they're advising you to break your oath because it says right there, habeas corpus. It's one of the founding things. When a court goes to the trouble to demand from a jailer, bring us the body, bring us the man, when that happens, the jailer has to have the honor to do the task. We're not here to execute or incarcerate. We're here demanding you do your job. You take a proper oath to a proper constitution with the laws of nature and nature's God included, and you do it with honor. If you have no honor and you can't uphold your honor, which we know that 89 out of 90 legislators couldn't, we know that Kate and Tina can't. Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, and Suzanne Bonamici, all convicted. They have no honor, and they refuse to leave their office. They will be forced out. There's no doubt about it. Once we are not deceived, once the curtains pull back, it's all over. When the de jure confronts the de facto will fold. You have nothing to support you. If you wanting to be a Leo, a law enforcement, that doesn't mean being a sociopath that puts people on the side of the road because of some infraction that you imagine. It's not what you're supposed to do. You're here for our peace, safety, and happiness. That's why you exist. Sometimes bad people do bad things and they're incarcerated. That's correct. But then sometimes persons like Kate Brown disband the militia, say, no, that's over and done with. And now the militia is the National Guard, the only militia we have. We're supposed to have a militia where all men 18 to 45 are in the militia. We are supposed to be able to take care of ourselves. It's not going to happen if you don't have a militia. If you don't have a place to properly train and to have a properly employed militia, then people do things they shouldn't do. They form little tyrannies and say, we have the authority to make that decision for you. No, you don't. You don't have the right to infringe upon our unalienable rights, all of them. The writ of habeas corpus ad subjiciendum is one of them. The ability to travel in the air, on the water, or on the land. That's unalienable. You do not get to say you have the authority to provide a license for somebody to travel because you call it driving and say it's a privilege. That only works if the one receiving it thinks it's a privilege, agrees with you, and goes along with it. If they agree it's a commercial enterprise and they want to be in commerce, so they deal with you. But you put it on all of us, and that's not going to play. So I was told I was too disruptive, and they were not going to give me permission to visit David in the penitentiary. They have pictures of us with our cars blocking the driveway at the penitentiary. Well, when you drive up in a couple of cars to unload 8 or 10 people, where else do you park but in the driveway? And you unload and then you go park the cars. You don't park the cars 3 blocks away and make old men that can barely walk do it. No. And then you don't get to take photographs of it and call us disruptive because we use your driveway. And I'm disruptive because I talk out loud in your parking lot. And we try you in the parking lot because we open a court. Caveat to will. An open court, not hidden, no secrets here, no back agendas. Article 7 original jurisdiction, and we have to remove those that are in positions of power, filling offices that have no oath and have no honor. They cannot fulfill those offices. Now, the Leos that want to do a good job, that aren't, there's a difference. All cops know who the bad cops are. Bad cops shouldn't be there. They should be gone. They have no honor. But the good cops have to have enough honor to stand up. And the bad cops have to go away. And you have to take an oath. And you have to keep the oath. I took an oath, 3 years, 11 months, and 28 days active service in the U.S. Navy. Yes, I understand oaths, but I'm not under oath now. I didn't take an oath to serve anybody like the bar. They take an oath to the Oregon State Bar. It's not to us. It's not to Article 1, Section 1. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and that all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times the right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. And then the guy at the Department of Corrections, whom I actually like, says, your court doesn't have the authority. It's a more superior court. The one that he is talking about has no bona fides at all. But that will have to be settled in open court also. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying, and then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.